My name's Shanta Frank Larson, and I'm hosting Motherhood Unplugged 2.0. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the summit before I introduce Lisa here. So the summit is basically Motherhood Unplugged 2.0, and it started with my doctorate. My doctorate is looked at basically the relationship between adulthood and childhood. So what equates to adulthood success being happiness, and those things in childhood which intervene, particularly around the mother, particularly around sense making, which we will actually delve into the two. And that's the reason for the conference. So it's reclaiming health, happiness and time for this generation. What mothers need this generation are very different to last generation. And so that's why I want to introduce Lisa Erickson, who's founder and creator of Migraine Magick. There's a reason, really, three key reasons why. One, my mum suffered with migraines, and my sister, which was very debilitating. Two, you really use the power of your experience in motherhood to bring a solution forward that solves migraines, which is debilitating health issue for women, particularly. I know it affects men as well. And three, the focus and resolutions for mums today in the generation that are suffering with migraines. I really think is an important topic that I wanted to cover on how you've brought that passion forward to make a difference to us, so that we can spend time with our kids, so that we can have our health. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the first question, Lisa, and we will delve into more on Migraine Magick, but the first question really comes back to motherhood. So what do you love most about being a mum?
I mean, that's a loaded question. It depends on the day, the kid. But I think what I personally like the most, what I really get out of is hugs and cuddles, because by nature I'm not a super affectionate person, but with my children it's a different story. So I get a lot of joy out of just seeing them grow up, but I would have to say my favorite is cuddling and hugging my kids. The ones that will still do
it. The feeling of that. So how many kids have you got, and what's the age range then?
So I have 4 children. My eldest is David. He just got his license. He's 16 and a half. And he doesn't hug me or cuddle anymore, and that's fine. Instead, I know when he's feeling loving, he'll walk by me and he'll give me like a body check. and I have found with other moms that's actually quite common amongst the elder teen boys. So I'll take it. And then Anna Jane is 12. And Jeffrey is 11, and Jack is 8. Jeffrey will be 11 in December, and Jack is 8.
So you've only got one slightly out of the teenage years, before the teenage years, and the other one's already body checking. Not so many cuddles. Okay.
No. Yeah.
And so in that, if you can remember back some time ago, how would you define yourself since becoming a mum? So did it change you, or how would you define yourself since becoming a mum?
Oh, motherhood has changed so many times for me. I mean, initially, when I first started having children, I come from a relatively good-sized Irish family from Boston. So there was never a question in my mind I wasn't going to have like a bazillion kids. I'm the oldest of 5. So I have to say, they weren't planned. I just assumed that I would always have a large family. And so when I first started, raising my children, I found that, I kind of fell into the pattern that I grew up in. And it was very much meeting their security and physical needs. And I find now in this, it's a whole different ballgame now with technology. I mean, the way I raise my children now, because they got all those kind of traditional healthy, playing outside, going for walks, doing puzzles, reading more. It's different now. Now I have to navigate the digital scene, and it's a whole nother ballgame, especially if there's not as much of awareness of it in other parents.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, because I have a business and it's relatively a new business, it's only 5 years old, I actually had to teach myself the whole social, digital phone thing. Otherwise, I probably really wouldn't be as aware as I am. Okay. So the kids can get into are exposed to an awful lot of stuff these days that they wouldn't necessarily have been exposed to maybe ever or even prematurely. And when you have a teen, they're curious about certain things. So they start looking for certain things. So it becomes a matter of, like, for example, for my older son, keeping him protected and less exposed to certain things than he should be exposed to at his age. Yeah. Because I feel like the kids who are online looking at stuff 24/7, their brains are getting wired a certain way, and they think that maybe that's the way real life is.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's not. I mean, it's fun, it's nice, it has a purpose, it's a great tool, but it's not necessarily how I don't want my kids growing up looking at a screen and thinking that, that's real life.
Yeah, which is a different problem statement than we had to face growing up, or our mums had to navigate with us.
Yeah. And even extracurricular activities, if my kids want to do an extracurricular activity, great. If they don't, great. I just want them to find something that they really enjoy and like, to channel their energy. But, I mean, when we were little, I think I'm a little bit older than you, but when we were little, we were outside playing. It was a different world. You could walk down the street. You weren't worried about maybe your child being kidnapped. There was more community. Now it's, some days I have to tell my kids to go outside to play, limit their screen time. And so that they are breathing fresh air, they are getting exercise, they are connecting with nature, because it's just not like it used to be.
And that was going to be one of my questions. What challenge do you face? But is that the key challenge for you?
I think the key challenge I face as a parent would be trying to parent in this digital age, because there's no rule book. We're setting the precedent. These kids are learning at light speed. Okay. Faster than, and they're looking at different things than we're looking at. I mean, they've got these special apps now that can erase their history of where they've been. I probably don't even have that much of an idea, but I try to keep current, just so that I don't, that I know what, my kids doing.
Yeah. So the whole of technology changed. Well, I was going to say, what changed?
Technology changed and my children, my eldest, these kids have phones when they're in 4th and 5th and 6th grade, which is fine. I happen to be at home a lot, so my child doesn't need a phone, but I understand that there are certain circumstances where the kids needs phone, but I don't feel my child needed it that early. Okay. And either some of them weren't mature enough to handle a phone at that age, So it's tough because a lot of other kids have a lot of this technology earlier on, and that's great for them. But my kids are like, oh, Mom, I'm the only kid who doesn't have a cell phone, and so it's those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I think. Also with the migraine aspect, though, there was, you told me, we spoke before this call, you told me how that came about, and there was a a specific challenge with your daughter as well, which meant that you found your path in terms of resolving the challenge. Can you delve into that story for the audience? Because for me it was okay, that really clicked in terms of that was your why.
Yeah, that's my why. So I had chronic migraines for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. And I've spent so much time trying to heal myself, and so I kind of had all the pieces already. But one day when my daughter Anna Jane came downstairs, she had her blinky, and she just looked, as somebody who suffered from chronic migraines, I knew all the signs. I know the look, and I just knew she was coming down with a migraine. She had complained about headaches a few times before, and she just had all the signs. Her hands were cold, her face was flushed, her belly was upset, her head hurt. So it was then and there, when that was 5 years ago, when I made the decision to put an end. I wasn't going to let her go forward and feel what I felt for 30 years. And so that's originally how Migraine Magick was born. I created this remedy so that she would feel better and that it would break this migraine pattern so that she wouldn't have all the consequences that could come with chronic pain.
And there's the Migraine Magick, and there are any other tools that you have that you bring forward into resolving migraines for people?
Yeah, look at you. You touch your head. You go right there when you say the word. It's such an association. There's a lot of energy work that goes into it, but really people who are in pain or kids, they either don't understand how to do energy work, they don't care because they're in so much pain. So physically it treats, it's a super electrolyte. So, you hear a lot of dehydration stories with migraines, and dehydration is not just water, it's essential minerals and electrolytes. But for adults or children who are old enough, it's super important to have different kinds of relaxation practices. Personally, I love meditation. So I have also created, I love techniques because I feel like if you have a solid structure to kind of visualize your outcome, it works super effectively. So I like to make up meditation to balance the nervous system. And, for people who are like type A, gotta check, the list off because that's how I am as well.
Yeah.
So meditation or just learn how to relax, whatever floats your boat. That's super, super important.
Okay. So as well as kind of the electrolytes, but it's also the relaxation and the energy work. So it's changing your energy balance or changing your life in that way, because that could be part of the cause or part of, Okay. Yeah. And so you're focusing on both, right? So you're focusing on both the remedy and the energy work as well now, or?
It's funny. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? They're so integrated. I did actually create a meditation spray as well, but for people who have migraines, you got to get rid of the physical things first before you could even try to relax, because specifically for migraines, there's such resistance and pressure and constriction. And when you're in that space trying to just like get through the day and deal with the pain, and it's almost like you try to keep the pain that contained. So it's very hard to relax. So the spray actually helps with relaxation because it feeds the cells what they need. So all of a sudden you can breathe a little deeper, your shoulders can come down a little bit more, you can kind of talk yourself like, okay, it's not getting worse. I think I actually might be feeling better. I don't trust it yet. So because it's a spray on, you can just keep applying it, and actually it feeds the cells a voltage is what it does, because our bodies are electromagnetic in nature. So the electrical part is the physical piece of Migraine Magick, and the energy part is more like the magnetism, like drawing in that relaxation and creating your own health on your own terms as you want.
And what difference have you seen in your daughter and in others with this?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. It works. If it's going to work for you, it works basically instantly. Okay. It depends on the person. It depends on how long they've had migraines. And with kids, it's super fascinating because they don't have any resistance to feeling better. Ironically, people have resistance to feeling well because it changes their life and the whole story and, all these things that we set up. And some people don't even, it's just crazy. Like, I didn't even give myself permission to heal for a very long time. Okay. But it wasn't until I made up my mind that my daughter was going to get better that I actually had to walk the talk. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I was able to put these pieces together, come up with a remedy, and it worked for me immediately, which 25 years of medicine couldn't do. This did, which I know it sounds crazy. But so back to the children, it's just instantaneous. And they just say, Mom, I need my magic. And the sooner that the kids can get it in and they balance themselves on a cellular level, the faster it actually goes away, and they don't even need it as much because all of a sudden they're not afraid of getting their headache or their migraine, and they're out playing and they're distracted and they're doing fun stuff again. Yeah. And so it doesn't ingrain a deeper habit or a pattern of like deficiency in the body, even if they're genetically predisposed to it. It's what I'm finding.
And are they practicing meditation as well, your kids?
Not, not so much. They see me doing it, and I do bringing it up like once or twice a year. Let's start. My two younger ones are actually more open to it than my two older ones. Okay.
But it sounds like you're also very into getting them outside, like you were saying before, and away from the screens. How do you get that balance? How do you, as a mum of four, I've only got two, but as a mum of four, get that balance between breaking up the screen time? I know you have to be aware of what they're doing because they can access everything, but how do you get that balance in 2017?
So I've kind of figured it out. It's different for each kid. Okay. So technically they're only supposed to be able to go on their iPods for like an hour and a half, right? After the homework's done, after whatever. If it's a real rainy day or if I really need to get something done, that can change. Sometimes they sneak it. I pick and choose my battles. My daughter, I let her get away with it a little bit more because she does very well in school. So, and she's just a really good kid. Now, I'm not saying the other ones aren't, but, so she could have a little bit more. My teenager will, that he gets more because he's older, and that's, part of kind of being a teenager. But I'm very fortunate in that I'm able to go away for the summer. And where we go away, I don't have TV. I don't have Wi-Fi, which is tough for me.
Very nice.
We have movies. We can throw a movie in, but so we literally unplug, which was why I really liked your Motherhood Unplugged, because for the first 3 days, we're all like crackheads withdrawing from the stimulation. But now we're 3 summers into it. And the kids just know. They just know now that, they can bring their iPods or whatever with them. And, if the weather's terrible, then, go ahead. Whatever you've got on your iPod, games you can do. And then maybe once a week, if they're not that fresh, I'll take them to the local library and they can hop on Wi-Fi there or something. But that's what I do. So from June 20th till September 2nd, we're unplugged.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I really don't see how we could unplug any more in the regular life here. I mean, it's just everybody's plugged in now.
Okay, so you've got these, I'm going to say grenzen now. You've got these borders, or you've got this hour and a half, which you flex because you know your kids kind of intimately, you know them. But then you also have this, oh wow, I want 8 weeks. It's almost like 8 weeks, right, or so, to unplug just each summer, just to reconnect back as a family. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And so
it's nice.
What experiences do you want your kids to have as they grow and make sense of the world? So one of the things that really very much came into the research was, one, the impact of the mother was everywhere. Yeah, the father impacted only on cognitive development statistically. Yeah, but the mother was everywhere. You name it: leadership, personality, happiness, someone's perseverance, and cognitive ability. They were everywhere. And then what also came into it was sense making. So different kinds of activities that you do with your kids, the kind of ones actually that you're describing, but for you as a mother, and I know they might be different, so you might have different answers for different children, but what experiences do you want to give them to grow into the fully adult, or almost adult, that your 16 and a bit already is?
So I was under the impression that's very interesting information, because I grew up thinking that the same-sex parent was the most influential on the like, for the boys it would be the dads were more information, but that's not what your research found. So
it showed
that puts more pressure on us moms, right?
Exactly, that's why we're so important, hence the conference.
Yeah. So the most important thing for me is, there's two things. One, I want my children to know, no matter what, that they know on a heart level that they're loved. That is the most important thing for me.
Okay.
I mean, we can have ups and downs, troubles, whatever, but the most important thing is that they know unconditionally that they're loved. So that's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, I want them to have tools to emotionally navigate this world during the downtime. Not when everything's great, but that they know how to ride that wave when the energy dips, or when, life isn't wonderful, because they have to be able to balance themselves out. And so that is super important to me. And that's why, one of the reasons why I know meditation is effective. That's it, because I didn't learn that as a kid. We weren't taught that, and my parents weren't taught those tools, and there's all different kinds, but I want them to know that when the chips are down, they know how to stay afloat, and stay afloat healthy, and not make it mean certain things, not internalize a negative self-talk, but to actually maybe talk themselves through situations healthily by how, my husband and I model our behavior, which, it's not perfect, but we try.
I get that. Okay. 2 more questions. Sure. So what would you go back and tell you, pregnant you the first time, that you'd want to know before becoming a mum? What conversation would you have with you many years ago, 17 years ago?
So I think that I wish that I knew how much the baby growing inside is affected by the internal and external environment of the mom and what's going on in her life. I mean, I kind of had an idea, but I didn't really know how much, so it's super important for moms to be as healthy as they can, physically, mentally, spiritually, psychologically. I mean, if there's ever a time to be super selfish for the benefit of your child, it's, as soon as you know you're pregnant.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, is there anything you've been working on or worked on that you want to share that would excite the the summit in terms of that would benefit them? Because I know we talked about, is there anything you wanted to share with them?
Well, if in this age, we're talking a lot about energy and vibration and frequencies, and we have a physical body, but we also have this emotional body. Mm-hmm. And so when I created Migraine Magick, it's a holistic remedy that not only targets, deficiencies physically associated with tension and pain with headaches, but it also helps. It's so simple, but it's so intricate, but it helps cleanse the emotional body as well, so that when we come into an issue as a little kid and all of a sudden we make something mean something to ourselves, it creates an energetic block if it's not a good something. And so this Migraine Magick also raises the body's vibration. So if you're going into meditation and you spray your aura, the area around your body, it cleanses and it purifies your energy as well as the air around you. So it's just a really good energy tool as well, and kids love it. Is this the meditation tape that you're going to share? The meditation? Oh, so also I have 2 free gifts that come with the Migraine Magick, or you're free to have them now as well. One is a free binaural isochronic audio, which you would put on if your child was having some kind of headaches, and they would listen to that, and it can balance the brainwave frequencies so that it raises it doesn't necessarily cancel out the pain, but what it does is it creates a frequency higher than the pain, which then kind of makes the lower frequencies in resonance with a higher frequency, and it gets balance and relieves pain. And then there's also a meditation magic audio, and that is like a full body chakra balancing attunement, which was based upon a lullaby that I used to hum for my children they would go to sleep like that. So it's just very beautiful, and they're both available for free on my website, which is www.migrainemagick.com. And I would love for you and anybody who's watching this to take advantage, because they're very effective, and they come from my heart just to make and help people feel better. Okay, so those are amazing, because I know you have the holistic approach, so it's not just the electrolyte, but I know that there's the energy piece as well, and I think that's actually why we wanted to have this interview with you and have you on Mothered Unplugged, because you've got the 2 sides holistically. Great. Yeah. So when you integrate those 2, then if you quell down the pain and you raise the energy and you integrate the 2, then you feel that much better, and you can shine. You can shine your light, So thank you, Lisa. It was great having you. Great talking to you from across the pond. Yeah. And I hope you stay safe in the hurricane, because we were just talking before. There's a hurricane on its way. So hopefully it's a good time to have it while we still have electricity. I know, right? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think it's such a great idea, and I'm thrilled that you reached out. Okay. Thank you.